fellow members of the Little Rock Nine. I want to thank the distinguished guests with us today, including the Newport News shipbuilding and Navy leadership, the elected officials that are here in the audience and on dais, and the proud shipbuilders and crew of the submarine Arkansas SSN 800. I also like to thank our family and friends who have traveled here to be with us. Once again, some of the females of the Little Rock Nine, who are honored sponsors, return to be a part of this special occasion, the christening of Arkansas, a nuclear-powered submarine. We were last here to participate in the keel laying ceremony and have our initials welded to one day live aboard the submarine. We watched in awe as the chosen welders performed the task of copying our initials. I can still remember the day, years ago, I think it was 2016 or 2015, when the Secretary of the Navy, Ray Mavis, called me from overseas to ask if the females of the Little Rock Nine would sponsor a new submarine that would be commissioned as the USS Arkansas. I gathered with my group and we discussed it. I was also told that the Navy tradition says that the spirit of the sponsor lives in the submarine, its crew, and its shipbuilders. We were excited and accepted the responsibility, despite our age. I do not stand here alone today, but as with all who are present here and others not with us, we are a part of a community and a team, as was mentioned earlier, as the Summer Olympics reminded us. None of us make it to the end alone. We all have help. 67 years ago, this past September, as we later became known as the Little Rock Nine, we met at a gathering spot on September 4th, 1957. We didn't walk alone. We were led by ministers, and some call them ambassadors of God. But we didn't enter that day due to the governor's orders to refuse our entry and any other person of color entry. We entered for the first time on September 23rd, but within hours we were spirited out of the school for our safety. The 9 of us returned on September 25th and were led by over 1,000 troopers from the 101st Airborne, known as the Screaming Eagles, who had made a huge name for themselves in World War II. They escorted us into the school. And once we got into the school, we each spent our day as the only black student in a class of white students. Each day we went to school, and then we came straight home. Extracurricular activities weren't allowed for us. Imagine doing your work, not speaking to any of your coworkers, and never going for an adult beverage after your workday was over. So we had to be hyper vigilant in class because we had no one to call to get to talk about or go over the assignment that had been given to us. And that year, our days were interrupted by over 40 bomb threats. Our lockers were not useful or safe, so we carried all of our books and projects from class to class. Now imagine taking all of your tools with you when you moved from one assignment to the next. We had to pay attention. I want to mention 3 names names today. They haven't been, well, actually they were spoken aloud just recently. Then in 1957, we were just Elizabeth, Ernest, Gloria, Jefferson, Melba, Minnie Jean, Terrence, Thelma, and Carlotta. 3 boys and 6 girls. Jefferson Thomas is no longer with us, but of us all, Jefferson was perhaps the one who kept our spirits up. He was the first to make a joke, to remind us that after all, we were just 9 teenagers going to high school. And in the past 6 weeks, Thelma Mothership Ware also left this world. Thelma was the smallest in physical stature of all of us. She was the one who we naturally wanted to protect. So now we are 7. The other person I want to mention is my mother, Juanita Walls, who died this year at 99 years of age. And I think of the mothers 80 years ago today, Pearl Harbor Day, who worried about their sons far from home and prayed that they would come home again. When I went to school that fall 67 years ago, my mother was 32 years old. And on September 23rd, her hair started turning from black to gray. We have watched our various presidents' hair turn gray in 4 years, but my mother's hair only took 1 year. I have often said our parents are the true heroes and sheroes. So history is full of groups of collected people who come together to make something happen. Together we are always better and more than the sum of our total. We are individuals made better by those with whom we labor. First, we have to get the submarine designed. Then we put it on paper or the computer. Then we pass it along to another group who will figure out how to go about putting it together in a 3-dimensional universe. And it takes those who labor, who carry the parts, weld the parts, who engineer the mechanics, who scrape and paint, those who prepare the food, deliver the food, to keep those who do the labor with the appropriate energy to do their job, and some support those who support the groups. I think you get the picture. Many people are behind the submarine that we christened today. It's similar to the quote on our currency, a pluribus unum, for many one. We have SSN 800, but many participated in the reality of it being here today. This is no ordinary submarine. But wait, is there a thing as the most advanced sea vessel in the world being ordinary? And those who crew the submarine are not ordinary sailors. They are professionals with countless hours of training behind what will be their deployments, submerged for 3 months at a time. Therefore, their uniqueness and their willingness to defend our country is something special indeed. We depend on each other. We need each other. And in short, we could not exist, triumph, or succeed without each other. 67 years ago, when I entered Little Rock Central High School, I did not know all of the other black students who would be there. I knew that there would be 2,000 white students, but I didn't know them either. It was the first day of school, and the usual thoughts went through my mind. First of all, I was happy to be going to high school. It was being a 10th grader, first time leaving junior high school and going into the junior high school and going into high school. Who would become my friends? Would I like my teachers? Would I make it to the class on time? Would I be successful in my studies since I had missed 3 weeks into getting into school? It was much like starting a new job and work on a submarine, I would imagine. How will you get along with those with whom you work? The first day with strangers working together can turn them into friends. I do know while the 9 of us were not friends going into Central, we came out as friends and family. And 67 years later, we are still friends and family. We were forged by our labor in our workplace. Those who have worked together to make this submarine a reality will forever have that in common. You are a part of a crew who built Arkansas. Your craftsmanship, your attention to detail, and your support for each other in the workplace made today a reality. As humans, each of us needs to feel useful, to be productive, to be able to take pride in a job well done. My father was a brick mason. So was my grandfather and my great-grandfather. In fact, my relatives helped build Central High School in 1927. There were many a car ride by the school, which once it was completed, the architects of America named it the most beautiful high school in America. And it took $1.5 million, 1927 to build that school. My grandfather spoke proudly about being one of the crew members who built the school. Being able to point to something you have done that will outlast and outlive you is a worthy achievement. When my grandfather pointed to Central High, my enrollment there was only a dream. But plans must begin with a dream. First, you have to think it. Then you consider what you need to do to be ready to make the thought a reality. Whether you will participate in the building of it, lead the crew, the attention to educating yourself to master the details of some small job is critical. For in a play, there is no small parts. So for you, this was not a small job. We offer a grateful nod to each of you who have some part in building Arkansas. Surely this is an achievement to which you can point to with pride. Because we were named the Little Rock Nine as the sponsors of Arkansas, we have embraced this opportunity to understand just a tiny bit more about your job and your traditions. We know that it is a highly trained, specialized group of people who built the submarine, and another highly trained, specialized group of men and women who will run it once it leaves the shipyard. We know that we cannot understand the depth of your knowledge and your skill, but we can appreciate it, and we are honored and humbled to have a role in this sponsorship. We thank Jennifer Morgan, President of Newport News Shipbuilding, and congratulate her on her upcoming retirement. We also thank Commander Michael Cooper, where you are, who will command Arkansas, and those who built this awesome submarine. And thank you, family and friends who have traveled far and wide to witness this event and support us. And most of all, God bless the United States of America.